Hey handcrafters, it's Sierra and welcome back to the craft table. Alright, let's get started making this beautiful lavender and white mesh cross wreath with florals using a wire cross frame and mesh from the Dollar Tree. Keep watching, you're not going to want to miss a thing. Okay, handcrafters, for this craft we're going to be using this metal cross wreath form from the Dollar Tree. The cross measures 24 inches long and the T or cross section measures 12 inches across. So I'm going to use wire cutters. Unfortunately, I cannot find my bigger cutters, but I'm sure I will get tired of using these smaller cutters and will eventually be forced to find the bigger ones. I may also be using this roto cutter from Dollar Tree's Crafter Square section. So just in case I'm not loving the roto cutter from for the mesh, I have my faithful and trusted scissors to help me out with even cuts. I'm also going to use the 22 gauge green floral wire to secure florals and add a hanger to the back so it will display beautifully. I'm going to use some Gorilla Glue sticks with my glue gun to dab over the ends of the floral wire. This is to reduce pricking my fingers when it's handled and to avoid messing with the mesh. I'm going to also use 5 rolls of this white, very pretty iridescent mesh from the Dollar Tree. The mesh rolls are 6 inches by 5 yards. I'm using 2 purple rolls of mesh as well, also from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using these fluffy white chenille stems to attach the mesh to the wreath. The chenille stems are 12 inches long and I'm just going to go ahead and cut them in half. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this gorgeous purple mesh. It's so pretty, you guys, and the darker lines that are in the mesh, it really adds a nice shimmer to it. It looks like the mesh end is beautifully cut with no frame. I'm going to go ahead and try to show you. I hope you guys can see it. Let's get right into this. I'm using this candle that my hubby got for me this past Christmas to hold the mesh roll in place while I measure how much mesh I want to use. I'm using my mat for the measurements of the cuts. I'm cutting the mesh at 22 inches long. The mesh edge that I cut came out nicely, and I'm just going to let the mesh roll into its natural curl and set it aside while I cut the next one. So let's do one more together before I speed this process up. I do have the cutting blade from the Dollar Tree, but I'm not so sure it's going to give me a smooth cut, so I'm sticking with the Dollar Tree scissors for now. I love these scissors. I did also purchase these from the dollar store around the start of the school year last year. They always carry some great scissors in the school section. Okay, let's refocus. I'm cutting in the same section and letting the mesh curl back up naturally. So I'm going to use the Creatology or Woodland Deco mesh method. I'm letting the natural curl in the mesh face upward. I'm going to take my candle and run it gently down the curl to hold the mesh in place. The cut on the mesh is nice and straight, and I'm going to use my mat to center my mesh. I'm pulling the end of the mesh 1 inch to begin making 1-inch rolls. And then I'm going to roll the mesh 3 times and clamp it, then do the same thing on the other side. I'm then using my fingers to gather the mesh toward me, using my mat to keep it centered. Take off our clamp, pinch it. There we go. Let's go ahead and make it even to see if it's all nice and even. Get our Chanel stem and give it a nice couple of twists after we, make sure everything is nice and even on both sides. Then go ahead and pinch it towards you and give a couple of twists. 1, 2, 3, very simple. And there you go. How beautiful is this crossful? All right, let's go ahead and speed through this. Go ahead and take off this tag. All of the cruffles have been made, and the design plan is to attach the white cruffles to the outside of the frame. The middle part is going to be for the purple section, and the outside of the frame will be for the white cruffles. So there's 4 sections. 2 of the outside sections will be all white cruffles. 2 of the inside sections will be the purple cruffles. So let's go ahead and attach this here. Now, looking back on this, I did not attach this the way that I wanted to attach it, or should have attached it, shall I say. I should have attached the Chanel stem to the bar next to it, the connecting section, to keep it in place a lot better than what it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the next one on, and go ahead and place the next one on. Now, as you can see, it's kind of, the bottom one, the first one that I put on, is moving, and that's because I should have attached that Chanel stem to, I guess, the neighboring bar, so that it wouldn't move. But that's completely fine. It worked out, how I wanted it to work out. And we're just going to go ahead and keep attaching the 4 to each section. Now I'm leaving the stems on because I was like in my head thinking like there's something I want to do, like a special way that I want to tie these together. Ultimately, I didn't do it. I should have cut them off. I did at the very end, but to save yourself some time and heartache of having to do all that, just cut the stems a bit smaller than I did. So you won't have to run into that issue. We're going to go ahead and speed through this process of applying the white cruffles to the outside frame. So I've gone ahead and added 6 white mesh rolls. I added 8 to each outside bar. Now I'm going to go in and add the purple mesh to the 2 inside bars in each section. I'm going to use 3 purple mesh rolls. I would have preferred to maybe use 4 purple mesh rolls to kind of fill it in a little bit more, but I'm going to work with what I have. I'm also going to alternate, basically placing 2 cruffles on each middle bar, so that will give me 4 per section. Again, you can see that I have not yet cut the Chanel stems. At this point, I was still thinking that I wanted to try to tie them in some special way. I would suggest to just cut the excess after you add on each bundle. I am also noticing that I can see the darker frame, and I would have preferred and would do this differently by spray painting the frame white before going ahead and attaching it when using white mesh. Okay, so at this point, I have definitely decided to just go ahead and cut the excess length of the Chanel stems off. I'm going to go ahead and apply 4 palm leaves. I did purchase these from Amazon, and I'm using 4 lavender stems from Dollar Tree, as well as 2 lightly dusted lavender colored stems. Now the tag on these just says greenery, so we're going to go ahead and go with that. All right, I'm also going to add in 1 white star lily. I had cut the stem off because it was very thick and I don't need it, so I just go ahead and cut that off. I'm going to use 22 green gauge wire that I'm going to fold in half for a stronger hold. I'll also use my wire cutters to cut away everything that I just don't need. Okay, so now I'm going to have these palms lay diagonally from the center of the cross in a very beautiful cascade. First, let's cut down the stems to an appropriate size because I don't want the stems to show. Then I'm going to grab this 22 gauge green wire. 24 is also a good appropriate wire to use, but I have 22, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. We're going to wire together these 2 palm leaves first. I'm wiring 2 palms together at first to ensure their stability. Now I could go ahead and wire all 4 together, but it may run the risk of losing the stability. So I am also going to be leaving a little of the wire out. This way, after I wrap around the stem, I can wrap each wire end together to secure the wrap. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just add a little hot glue to the cut wire ends. I'm doing this because I don't want it to snag on the mesh as I'm placing it into the center of the mesh. Now let's go ahead and combine these palm leaves together. I cut off a long piece of wire and folding it to create a loop. And now I'm just taking the 2 wire ends and running into the loop and giving it a nice pull. Then I'm just wrapping the wire tightly. I'm also going to be leaving about 6 to 8 inches of wire so that I can attach it to the cross frame. I'm also going to move the mesh out of the way and run the 2 wired ends through to the middle square section on the wreath frame. I'm going to go ahead and open the 2 wire pieces like I'm preparing to tie my shoe and attach them to the cross section in the middle bar. I'm going to tie it and gently pull so that the palms don't move. Then I'm going to simply tie them together and wrap them together. Now I'm not pulling so tightly that it's going to squish the mesh. I just want it to lay beautifully on top of the mesh, but also secure. So I don't want it to move very much. So now I'm just using these jewelry pliers to pull at the wire and then squeeze them together to flatten. This is a little bit more for security purposes of not hurting anybody's fingers or the mesh. I just want to flatten these wire ends and get them out the way. Now I'm just adjusting the palms around to see how I would like them to fan out. And there we go. So next I'm going to go ahead and cut the stems off the fabric lavender picks that I had picked up from Dollar Tree. I'm so happy my hubs found my stronger floral cutters. These floral wires are so much better, so much easier to handle in the hand. Now I'm just spacing out each stem and I'm going to interlock 2 lavender bushes. Now I'm also going to take a long piece of wire and begin to wire the lavender bushes together. Okay, so now that I have the lavender interlocked very nicely, I'm going to go ahead and take the wire and wrap it around the middle section, the middle connecting section of the lavender, and I'm going to twist a small end to the longer piece of the wire and give it a nice tug so that it's nicely tightened. I'm running the wire up the stem a little to enforce the hold. Then I'm just hot gluing the cut wired ends. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same process for the next lavender bush. Okay, so I've gone ahead and laid the lavender bundles on the cross to see how they would look and what position would be best for them. I'm going to go ahead and use my floral wire to combine them, and I'm going to add some hot glue to the cut ends of the wire. I'm then running an extra piece of long wire underneath the middle section of the combined lavender bundle, making sure that I have one piece of wire on the left and one piece of wire on the right. I'm then going to bring those wire ends together tightly, give about 2 to 3 twists to secure the cross pattern. Now with one wire on the left and one on the right, I can attach the lavender to the wreath frame. The lavender got a little stuck on the mesh. Let's go ahead and gently remove that from the mesh. Alright, let's move the mesh out of the way and run our wire in the middle. We're going to attach the wire to another cross section of the frame the same way that we did with the palms. Nice and snug, but it's not mushed into the mesh, just laying snug on top. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the lavender greenery and space it out and cut off these tags. Each stem has 5 greenery heads, and I'm pulling them apart so that 3 are on one side and 2 are on the other. I'm wiring them together off screen, and I'm adding a little glue to the cut wired ends. I'm looking for the perfect placement to lay them, and I've decided to go ahead and attach them so that the floral ends are in between the open sections of the lavender that I had previously attached. Now let's go ahead and add some extra wire to attach this bundle to the back side of the cross, making sure to twist and tighten it to a cross section with our jewelry pliers so it doesn't slip and slide. Now the wires are neat and tightened to the cross section of this middle square of the wreath frame, and it looks beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to include 2 luscious white hydrangea heads to the floral design on the cross. But before I do, I have to wire it so we can add it securely. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a long piece of this floral wire, and I'm combining it to make a loop. I'm going to run that loop under the vein base of the hydrangea and take the opposite ends of the wire and pull through the loop. I'm going to go ahead and pull it tightly and begin wrapping each wire stem around the floral base separately. And then I'm going to go ahead and twist them together tightly with our pliers. And now we have 2 separate wires that we can attach to the middle cross section of the frame. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add these luscious hydrangea heads. Now, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and move this mesh out of the way so that I can run the wire to the back and twist and tighten it to the cross section of the middle square on this frame. I'm going to go ahead and add the other hydrangea head to the opposite side and also twist and tighten on the connecting crossbar. I ended up adding 2 more hydrangea heads, but a little smaller in size, so that it provided a more rounded look for the star lily to lay beautifully in. I went and cut off the stem and floral buds so that I could apply them at a better height after I've added the lavender in. I'm going to go ahead and cut the pollen from the star lily for a cleaner, more natural floral arrangement design. Okay, so I've added a very generous amount of hot glue to the star lily stem and placing it nice and snug to the middle of the hydrangea. I'm making sure not to push the star lily too far down into the hydrangeas, but to have it lay on top. This provides the depth and layered interest that we want in this piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue adding depth and texture to the floral focal point of this wreath so that it stands out. And I'm going to do this by accenting the hydrangea with a few lavender heads. I'm going to add the depth to the piece by placing them slightly upward in the hydrangeas for a layered effect. Now it lifts the piece up by giving it height and interest for the eye. Now let's find the perfect placement for this lily, the lily leaf, shall I say, and the bud. I'm going to go ahead and make sure to give them a natural placement. I want the leaves to stick out as well from the hydrangeas, so I'm not pushing them very far down, just enough to make sure they are secure. Let's go ahead and add a generous amount of glue to the bud and place them snug, but remember to not stuff them deep within the arrangement because we want to provide a professionally assembled floral design concept. Now remember, you could also add wire to the buds if they are too big, heavy, or oversized. And I didn't really see the need to do that with this because they are light, and I secured them with a generous amount of glue to the vein of the hydrangea. Alright, handcrafters, there you have it. This lavender floral cross is gorgeous and stunning. This is a beautiful tribute to our Lord and would also serve nicely in your church home, a christening, a funeral, a memorial service. And truthfully, you can hang this in your home whenever, wherever, for any reason, no matter the season. So I hope you have enjoyed crafting with me. You can purchase this cross from our online storefront at Maker Place by Michaels. The link will be in the description. So again, handcrafters, thank you for crafting with us. Please have a blessed and crafty day. As always, don't forget to like,
and
share,
comment, subscribe.
You heard her. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Like our channel. Thank you for watching. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss the next craft.